What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, talking today about Metroid Dread, because my most hyped Nintendo Switch game of all time has finally arrived. And to be perfectly honest, I should currently be asleep. I actually have to catch a plane at 8 a.m., but instead I've decided to stay up all night playing this game just because I have been so incredibly excited for this game to finally exist. Now this video is going to be completely spoiler free. I'm actually recording this video at about 3 a.m. and I've just finished playing about the first 4 hours of the game itself, and it's leaving a very good impression right off the bat. Just consider this to be a spoiler-free talk, some reflections on why this game manages to be so inspiring and just so much worth the wait. First and foremost, let's talk about what makes this game the most interesting to me, which is the fact that it has almost a horror-style element. The dread of Metroid Dread is very strongly emphasized throughout this game. The entire game itself is presented as this very classic 2D shooter, something that allows you to aim and blast missiles and try and just basically escape, because you are going to be doing a ton of running in this. For one main reason, which is the EMMIs. That is spelled E-M-M-I, and it's basically this acronym that means it is a gigantic robot that wants to figure out how to rip your butthole inside out. These things are dangerous, they're complicated. If they touch you, it is an instant game over. So because of it, in order to try and evade them, you have to play the most freaking high intensity game of hide and seek possible. It's constantly about ducking into zones, trying to get power-ups, and evading the next time these guys are going to grab you. What makes this so fun to me though is that the EMMIs themselves only exist in these particular spots on the map. They basically have their own little patrol zones, their own little territory. So a lot of times while progressing, you have to cut through one of their particular zones, but as long as you're fast, as long as you're careful, as long as you slide under some locking doors, you can get away pretty easily. But if you make a mistake, once again, they just rip you in half. These moments of Metroid Dread really lean into the idea of 2D horror, the fact that it just plays spooky music and the fact that the screen gets so dark and overshadowed. These EMMIs are portrayed as these unstoppable Terminator-style killing machines, and they really managed to make it where when you're in those rooms, when you're in those zones, it really feels like the prey versus the hunter, and I totally dig that. But let's talk a bit more generally about just the gameplay flow thus far, because obviously I'm maybe a third or halfway through the game. It's difficult to even tell, but already I've managed to unlock some pretty cool abilities, like being able to climb up walls and do super shots, and even of course the standard missile launcher that you start off with. But what feels good about this, which is not going to be a surprise to anybody, is just the fact that power-ups have always felt fantastic in the Metroid games. Every time you manage to unlock that next big door or go a little bit deeper into the dungeon and see something that's never been experienced before, there's such a raw sense of excitement. Metroid, it's always managed to capture that feeling that something is just impossibly brilliant right around the next corner. And the reason I feel like this manages to do it so well is that it's so much setup and payoff. Sometimes you're exploring a zone that's filled with lava that if you even get close to, it's going to immediately kill you, but then suddenly you find a button that lets you basically drain that lava. Or times where you get stuck underwater and you manage to shoot something and it drains the water. There's always that nice sense that everything around you is just waiting to be figured out. The game does not hold your hand. At times it can even be straight up difficult. Even in this first 4 hours, I've already died 25 times, but to me, that is the excitement, that is the thrill, that is the point of Metroid Dread. I want to talk a bit more about the controls here, just the aiming, the shooting, and sometimes just the traversal. I've already done a couple boss fights, which I don't want to show you too much of, but I do want to show you this guy. So while you're just doing your typical exploration, this is when you're using the left stick to run around, to jump onto ledges, to pull yourself into gaps and stuff like that. But whenever you're actually in trouble, by holding down the left shoulder button, you go into this free aim mode that is incredibly precise. this. Like, seriously, one of the things that's kind of impressed me the most is that even though this game is obviously very 2D, it feels 3D in a way because of this ability to constantly just swivel and aim, to pivot and shoot. It feels so incredibly fluid. Like, even now, just in the intro hours of the game itself, I feel like Samus. I feel like I am able to take on the challenges that she is facing because of these controls backing you up. I think that it's really nice when you're trying to just fight off enemies or blast an optional bat because you want to try and get an extra couple energy points for another missile. I like the fact that everything about this is very freeing, which really makes you feel more empowered for that next time some impossible enemy pops up. You feel ready for that challenge, and it's a very rewarding feeling. Thus far, I definitely enjoyed just everything about the game I've seen, from the combats to the bosses to the unlockables. Like, some of these abilities are just so impressive, but I do want to talk about one of the controversies and the one gripe I definitely have about the game so far. So there's been a bit of a discussion about if this was perhaps a 3DS game at one point. Some gamers on the internet are already attempting to do some basic critical analysis to see the exact graphical power of this game, and people are saying that it looks and runs badly. Well, by my eyes, it seems fine. This seems like a great Nintendo Switch experience. Like, yeah, it's definitely not 4K, and at times it does get a little bit blurry on my big screen TV and stuff, but I think everything it's trying to show off, everything it's trying to do, the points it's trying to convey, it's all nice. The voice acting is sharp, the writing is good. Like, this seems like another chapter in the Samus storyline that I care about the most. My personal favorite Metroid of all time has always been Metroid Fusion, so the fact that this is just a continuation of that, another chapter in this very awesome storyline, I can totally let it slide if some of the pixels aren't as perfect as possible. But I do want to talk about the one gripe I do have, which is that at times it does feel like it does leave you a little bit too lost. Even as I just finish off these early hours of the game itself, I do wish that the map was a bit more clear. I find myself getting a little bit distracted or sidetracked just trying to figure out where to go next. At times it's very hard for me to even tell what I'm supposed to do, but I think that's also sort of the point. I think the fact that I am getting so lost and so much just trying to find random hidden collectibles, I mean, that's part of the enjoyment of Metroid. I'm going to keep trying to play this. I'm probably going to beat it while I'm traveling. I did get the Switch OLED. I'm going to be doing a video about that on Monday, and for now, I guess I got to go hop on my plane and enjoy this game in brilliant freaking glory on that new screen. Well, these have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts because honestly, I just wanted to talk about it so much. I appreciate you guys watching this video, and hopefully if you are at too many games this weekend, go follow me on Twitter. I'm going to be tweeting out where I am. Let's meet up. Let's take selfies. Let's love on some video games together. You guys rock. Thank you so much for watching this video. Give it a like, and do me the biggest favor of all, keep dreaming. I am so freaking sleepy. Why am I staying up all night playing video games when I'm 35? Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.